HBO has been giving us some high quality content lately, both on their HBO Max platform and their parent channel HBO. The new limited series We Own This City is probably going to raise a ton of hackles and might be polarizing, but is it even worth checking out? We Own This City chronicles the rise and fall of the Baltimore Police Department's gun trace task force and the corruption and moral collapse that befell an American city in which the policies of drug prohibition and mass arrest were championed at the expense of actual police work. This has a bunch of names to it, but riding as the central figure is Jon Bernthal, playing the lead detective on Baltimore's gun trace task force. Now, the first episode takes place in 2017, but also gives us some background info from 2 years before that. And while Bernthal's Jenkins is the kind of ringleader for this, the first episode works to establish many of the players that will begin to take prominence. The story follows detectives in other counties surrounding Baltimore as they work to catch drug dealers. We see federal prosecutors who question a lot of the tactics and the operations of the police, and then we also get to see members of Jenkins's team as they go about making busts. At the beginning of this, the episode plays out like some messed up documentary that also captures somewhat incendiary dialogue. And while this is a dramatization, it's based on true events that were then written about by investigative journalist Justin Fenton. Now, I haven't read that book, so I'm really only bringing this up for context. I don't know how closely this production sticks to the source material. But the show is also from David Simon, who co-created The Wire. Now, I read in a Washington Post article that the creators weren't looking to make this an extra season of The Wire, nor were they looking to tell just another story of corrupt cops. The article discusses how they wanted to tell the story of why something like this happened, and then how it could happen anywhere. This limited series is 6 episodes that will have weekly releases each Monday. Now, the first episode is an hour long, so it is a pretty quick watch. And there's a lot of information coming at us, and because there are so many different players to the narrative, we don't get a ton of background or development on most of them. We do get some establishing information, especially if we need to understand how dirty a particular cop may be, but aside from that, we're just beginning to meet everyone in this first episode. Now, I like how the story switches between characters, giving us portions of the story and then building it from multiple angles. We also get to see an interrogation that helps to provide a lot of the context for the story that's playing out. And through this, we get to know a lot of how the gun trace task force operated, which I think is as the show goes along, and then based on what I saw in the trailer, there's a bunch of corruption that's going to be uncovered. Now, at this point in the show, I'm not sure which of the characters I'm supposed to like or root for, if there's any. I do know several that I'm not supposed to root for, so at least the show is beginning to establish some protagonists and mainly antagonists within the story. With this being a weekly release of only 1 episode each time, and only 1 episode dropping for the premiere, I think this show may be a bit hard to get into initially. The content is great and the acting is wonderful, but when the episode ends, we've really only just begun the story. A ton of intrigue is now floating out around this, which could try your patience just a bit. Now, I was fully engaged when the episode concluded, so maybe it really is just more of the fact that I'm impatient and I want more right now instead of having to wait each week. Now, despite the opening credits feeling like a sort of a reality show, the cinematography in this is wonderful. Some of the shots do feel a bit cinematic, but mainly we just get the super high quality television feel, which, is what you've grown to expect from HBO. As the story will move between timelines, I like the title treatments we get to illustrate where we are in the years. There's this computer screen that pulls up that looks like it could be sort of like an arrest log, or maybe it's just a personal work log that each officer uses to show maybe where they've made an arrest, or if they've gone to court, or if they've attended some kind of training or seminar. But regardless of what it is, there's always the focus of the date, so we're not left guessing at to what month or year this might be. The acting is really effective in this. Now, I had mentioned that I'm not necessarily sure who I should be rooting for, but when it comes to those that I'm not supposed to like, the actors establish this very quickly and convincingly. Bernthal's Jenkins is smug and overconfident. He tries to mask his hubris with job-centered stats, but it still shines through, making him a very slimy and distasteful character. Josh Charles stars as another detective named Herschel, and right from the very get-go, it is easy to dislike this character. And he's also very self-righteous and just a disgusting human who flaunts his power and then wields it like some little 5-year-old who just stole from his mom and convincingly blamed his older sister. Plus, when we see him in his true form, his actions are despicable, making him an instant dislike. Now, not all of the characters are despicable. Wunmi Mosaku plays Nicole Steele with the DOJ, and I like her inquiries into the city's government. She asks some tough questions, and she doesn't pull punches, but she does it in a very friendly and professional manner. And she's also a little snarky and jaded, which gives her character a realism that I enjoyed. The story that's building is very compelling, and there's this urgency that we feel as the episode nears its end. The acting is well executed, and the production quality looks great. I mean, we can feel the grittiness of some of the locations, but also feel the unease and the tension from the injustices that are shown. I think this story will be able to suck you in, and if you're a fan of The Wire, we get just another examination of corruption with a heavy focus on how and why something like this happened in the first place. I mean, it's both entertainment and a cautionary tale all rolled into one. The pace of the first episode is efficient and it held my attention, drawing me in because of the growing drama. Now, I am impatient, so I do wish that more episodes would drop simultaneously, but I think it's still a great watching experience nonetheless. There's no sex or nudity, a ton of profanity, and some violence. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to hold off on giving this a score and just give the final score once the limited series concludes. But know that this is certainly worth watching, and I am really looking forward to watching it every week. So what are you watching right now? Is there anything noteworthy that I should be aware of? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.